We're glad that you're here today. If this is your first time, welcome. And if you're coming back and if you are a listener of ours, thanks for listening. We appreciate you. Stay tuned for our topic today because we're going to be speaking about loyalty or liberation. It's really about family expectations and sometimes choosing yourself over those what your family is expecting you to do because the holidays are coming up. We know what's coming. And sometimes we may have to choose to go a different route instead of going to spend time with our friends and our family because we know what's going to happen. And we're going to talk about this today. We're going to talk about strategies. And I love that Terry is a trauma recovery coach because she can give us some tips on how she would coach somebody through this process. And I think it's something that we all sometimes experience. Sometimes we experience it. Sometimes we have wonderful family relationships. So it just depends on your family, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with you if you have, times where your family is a struggle. It just means that we have to come up with our strategies to be able to deal with it and make sure that we're taking care of us. So thanks for this topic today, and we're going to get started. So Terry, I like this topic because of the fact that I have personally struggled with some of these things over time. In fact, I have just canceled on my family. Even when I lived in Denver and we were going to go to South Dakota and I was upset with my brother or I was upset with someone because I was still dealing with all of my stuff. The day before I decided not to go and they took my son and they actually went to South Dakota and I stayed home and pretty much reveled in my sorrow, like just sat there and felt sorry for myself. I'm alone on Thanksgiving. But I realize now with more awareness that I was doing it to myself. I was choosing to live in that instead of trying to work through it or going to do something else that maybe was better for me. What would you talk to somebody that you're one of your clients or somebody you're coaching when they're trying to prepare for this type of thing? What would you say?
Well, one of the things I would tell them is something that I've had to coach myself with, and that is to prepare for the experience. Because the only person that we have control over is us. And we are changing, but that doesn't necessarily mean the people that we love or people in our family are changing. And so many of our behaviors and so many of our patterns that we have come from family, right? We didn't know that, but literally by the time you're 7 years old, you have taken in so much in your subconscious mind because it's open and you're just taking in everything that you learn. And so for me, coaching myself and understanding that the behaviors and the patterns that I had were actually something I learned and it was modeled to me. And so I chose to work on me and grow, but not everybody does, right? And so I had to learn to prepare myself ahead of time for that experience. But the other thing with that, Michelle, is also dealing with the guilt and maybe some of the shame that you might feel around saying, I'm not going to be there for family this year or show up for the family get togethers where everybody is. Because I think that our mind, and I know, because I know that this happens to me, because I think it just happens to us as being human. But there's this, oh my gosh, this guilt. Like, I feel like I should be going. Like, I feel like I should be going and wanting to be with family, but I don't want to be. Right. And so just freeing yourself from that, but also preparing yourself for the experience that what's going to come from that. Right. What's going to trigger me from people because of the choice that I make, because of things they might say, and then prepare yourself for how you're going to respond to that and not react because you already know it's coming. So if you prepare for the experience ahead of time, you're not going to react. You're going to respond better. And the way that I feel that is when I can feel it in my emotions and in my body. So when I feel you can start to feel those triggers going off and your heart rate going up and you almost feel sweaty and just going, oh, there it is. There it is. And it's just telling me that inner critic, right, is going to start telling you all these things. And you might as well just prepare for it. So when you start to change and you start to release being attached to old ways of emotions or the ways that you used to feel, it's going to feel crazy. It's going to feel different, and it's going to feel unknown. And so preparing for that.
Have you experienced that, Kimberly? She's like, I'm on mute so the bird doesn't go say cuss words.
My husband and I are going to Paris and Amsterdam for Christmas. So yes, we
told you right there.
We've made, and sometimes you have to choose to do what's good for you. And sometimes that's not being around family, and that's okay.
Well, and I think that choosing you is the greatest self-love.
Yep. Absolutely.
I was thinking too, what I find interesting is I used to think when I had other family members who are very healthy emotionally, I didn't know at the time, but they're very healthy mentally, and they always take care of themselves. I used to think they were rude to just come like for 2 hours for dinner and then leave. I'm like, isn't that just rude? And I thought to myself, now that I have more awareness around it, they were protecting themselves. They were going, okay, I love my family and I'm going to go have dinner with them, but then I'm going to excuse myself and go back to my house where I can do the things that I want to do and do the things that I enjoy. I used to think that was really weird, but now I understand it. And it's just setting the boundaries,
That's a great one right there. If you got to go show up for an hour and then you can excuse yourself, do that.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. I mean, I know just me, like, even when I go back home, even around friends, like even the food that I eat and stuff is like not what I eat anymore. I mean, it's just so weird. Like you just get back into 15 years ago or 20 years ago, it just doesn't feel good. But it's weird.
I always think about when you grow and when you want to change and you're growing, you literally have to become a new person.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And when you go back to those, you actually realize, oh my gosh, I am not the same person I used to be. Because there's so much evidence that is so not me anymore. I can't show up the way that they want me to show up anymore.
Right.
And, they may not know it, but it would be the greatest gift for them if they could see that,
Yeah.
It's so true. And that can show up in favoritism too. I always felt like my brother was kind of the favorite. And I think sometimes the firstborn is the favorite.
Because not in my family.
It's the first child, and what'd you say?
Not in my family. Because that's me.
Me too. With me and my sister, because my dad was married 3 times, and so I'm from the second marriage, and I'm the oldest sister with just me and my sister. So yeah. There's 5 of us. But 1 was from my dad's first marriage, 2 from the second, my mom, and then 2 from his last marriage.
Yeah.
So I'm the oldest too. So I get that, Kimberly.
Yeah. I always felt like my brother had a little bit, he was able to kind of get away with a lot more than I was and was able to, but again, it's like by your second child, you've already done all the things with the first one. It's your first child. So I get it. I understand it. But I kind of always felt that a little bit as a kid. So I feel like that kind of comes into play too. I'm also a planner. So sometimes I have expectations in my head of what I think something's going to be. And sometimes I fool myself because I have all these expectations of how it's going to go and how it's going to be. And it doesn't end up like that. And then I'm kind of disappointed. So I have to recognize in myself that I have these expectations that I'm bringing to it, that I'm expecting are going to happen. And it's not the case. I think
that, Michelle.
Yeah.
Because I'm a planner too, and I want things to go really well. And so one of the things that I've done for me is when that's not happening with my kids, I literally have to walk downstairs and go into my room and give myself like 20 minutes. I have to excuse myself, and I have to work through those emotions, and I have to release the control of what I always thought I had, but I didn't have, and say, Terry, we're just going to go with the flow. We're just going to go with the flow, and you're just going to go out and be present and enjoy your family and just, listen to what they're saying. So I started working into just learning how to be a more active listener and seeking to understand my family. So instead of having my expectations, so that has really helped me. So that's another thing And that goes back to preparing, right? Preparing. Sometimes you have to walk away and give yourself 5 minutes to re-regulate your body and go, I got to calm down here.
Yep. Exit strategy. And you
I
can
love
come
to go
back.
with the flow. Yeah, exactly. I like to go with the flow concept because I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves too. Even if you're like hosting an event for your family, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to make sure we're trying to please everybody in that. And it's like, why can't we just let it be what it is? Like let it move the way it's supposed to move and not have all the like this stress about all this is, I want it to be perfect. I want this to be perfect. You know, if they go with the flow attitude, I think it's just a kind of a healthier way because then you release those expectations of all of that. And you just kind of like, let's just have a wonderful time. Just like you mentioned, Terry. Can we talk about,
maybe you guys have done this, but when I have made a big dinner and had everybody over and people aren't sitting down when I want them to sit down and they're not saying thank you and all this kind of stuff, I'm like, and then I realize now that that inner me is being attacked and I'm feeling like I'm not being like they're being ungrateful, right? And so it was always personally my feeling. That's not what was happening. It was something going on within me. And so when I started to realize that you are the one who are placing these expectations on you, Terry, nobody else. And you've invited them over to do all this because you love your family, but you're looking for a validation or an expectation, and they're just coming to show up. And so you were right earlier, Michelle, when you said, I was creating it myself. When I realized you're creating your own suffering sometimes, it helped me release that.
yes. And also, I lost my train of thought there, but my thought was, it's also about worrying about what other people think. Mm-hmm. So this goes into because I have, that has been an area for me that I'm continuously working on, is not worrying about what others think. And that is the same for family members. You know, they're the ones that you probably always are worried about what they're thinking about you because you're so intertwined with those folks. So you tend to be thinking about that a lot. And I did, especially with my dad and those worry about what they were thinking about me all the time. If I did do this or didn't do that. You know, when we went to Italy together as a family, I almost, when we were in Florence, I almost got on a train and went back to Paris because I was like, I can't take it. And it was so, I was trying to go with the flow and they were all about scheduling every moment. And like even the schedule would change on a daily. Like you get up, try to prepare, have a slow morning, try to prepare yourself for the next museum we're going to or whatever. And then all of a sudden I'd get up and they go, we're leaving in 15 minutes. What the hell? I thought I had 2 hours. And it was like, it was constantly. And I told my brother, I said, I'm just going to get on a train and go back to Paris. And I'll just meet y'all back in Paris and fly home with you. Because I'm like, I'm not doing this. So what I have decided in that is I don't go on trips with my family like that.
I was just going to say.
It's not because they're bad people or anything. It's just that's not my idea of fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not what vacation is.
So Michelle, that's so funny you say that because this is a big thing for me. I have a planner. And so when my kids were little, I would make sure, and it was hard. We had to work really hard to give them trips, right?
Yeah.
To save money. And it took a while. We didn't always get that. So when I was going to go spend the money, we were going to California or anywhere. I was up at 8 a.m. We were at the park and we were doing the thing.
All day. Yeah.
We are getting our money out of this.
Absolutely.
And so when that's me. And now that my kids are older and they have their own kids, they take their time in the morning and all this kind of stuff. And so we're going on a trip in December. And you know what? I had to realize if they're just going to take their time, I'm going to go to the beach in the morning and I'm going to go get my calm, and whatever they do, it's okay because I'm not going to. And so finding like you said, an exit strategy, or if you still want to go with them, which is my kids, my grandkids, I'm going to go, but I'm going to go get my calm so that when I go and it's not going the way that I would want it to go, it's not about
it won't.
Yeah, it's not about me, right?
Right.
And how they do it is on them, and I'm just going to enjoy their presence, and I'm not the mom anymore. And so I get to just go. And you know what? Quite honestly, I love taking my kids places, but as I've gotten older, and I said you become a new person, I don't really like those big crowds.
Yep.
And like going and standing in all those lines and stuff. So I'm like, if they want to go late and don't want to enjoy the whole day, that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that. And I've even become comfortable spending holidays by myself now.
Yeah.
Like I can spend, like last Christmas, I spent by myself here at the tiny home that I live in. I didn't go to South Dakota, but I did go up there for Thanksgiving. But on Christmas, I decided to stay home. It's also my dad's birthday. So sometimes I feel like, I used to feel very obligated to be there for his birthday. And, but I didn't. And I felt I was completely at peace and fine in my own space. I thought I was going to be a little depressed, but I wasn't.
Yeah.
I was completely fine. So now it's a good feeling to know that you can spend time you're by yourself like that and not feel like you're missing out. I mean, even people around here, if I wanted to go hang out with some folks, people around this community would have invited me over, would have been just fine. So it was no issue. But this year, it's my dad's 80th. So, and his mom, his wife's kids, who all live overseas, the son and his wife live in Qatar, and the daughter and her husband and kids live in Paris. So I think the ones from Qatar, they bought a house in the Black Hills in South Dakota, and they want to spend their first Christmas there because they just bought it this last summer. Mm-hmm. And so when I called my dad, I said, I want to be there for your 80th birthday, and he goes, well, we might be in the Black Hills. And I said, that's fine. Wherever you're going to be, whether it be in Vermilion or in the Black Hills, I would like to be with you on your 80th. And so I'm okay with whatever, we can just whatever happens, I'd like to be with you. And so it's nice to feel like I've overcome that finally, because I used to have a lot of anger and animosity during the holidays with my family, because I always felt like, I don't know, that I just wasn't considered or something. I guess maybe that's what it was.
You have definitely grown.
Yeah.
And one of the greatest ways we know that is that we actually can spend time in solitude.
Yeah.
So when you were spending time, especially on the holidays, when there's some great strength there, when you can spend time with yourself by the holidays, by yourself during the holidays, and sit with you and be able to manage all the things that are going on in a healthy way and still feel fine, that says a lot to your growth, Michelle. And anyone's growth.
I mean, I still watched the movies last year like we normally would have. And but just Nelson and I did it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it was very peaceful. There was no arguing. There was no fighting.
Yeah.
There was no.
And I think I went to my triple vagal method appointment last Wednesday. And it was so interesting because she was sharing how she goes, every time you used to come in, your nervous system would always just let off charges, right? And I felt so present, and I didn't have any of those things going off. And she told me, because she stayed on the pressure point right here below your diaphragm where you can access the vagus nerve. She said every time I pulled away from it, it wanted me to go back. And she didn't do my whole body. And she told me what that meant was that my nervous system was calling her to come back to calm. So I feel like my nervous system is so used to being more calm that when you said that, Kimberly, it is so true. Like that feeling those stimuluses from family is just like, oh, yeah. I can't do this. Mm-hmm. I cannot do this.
Nope.
100%.
It doesn't mean you don't love them, but
yeah.
But you love you more.
Yep. And
we're all very conditioned
love from afar.
Yeah, we're all very conditioned to try to take care of others before ourselves. And so it's just kind of like what we're supposed to do. I always think about my grandparents, and always trying to, this is how you act around other people. This is what you have to do. And everything has to be right. And the house has to be perfectly cleaned. And you have to do this. It's like all this stuff you have to try to keep up with to make sure you're presenting well when people show up, including your family. And it's like, you're so conditioned for that it's like, if you try not to do that, then all of a sudden you're being selfish, and you're being, all these different things that you think
or
you're being
rude.
Yeah. Or rude.
Like you thought.
That's not it at all. It's completely fine.
Well, you were just saying that, Michelle. I was feeling it in my nervous system.
I know.
Yeah.
Just like, ooh, there it is.
There it is.
Yeah, I mean, I was really hurt last year that, we weren't invited to my mom's for Christmas. But then after, I was like practically begging to be allowed to go. But then I thought, you know what? We were fine. It was good. It was peaceful. There was no chaos. There was no,
And I remember an experience like that happening, the same thing. I was like, why wasn't I invited? But then I had to sit down and go, would you have really wanted all
Right.
the energy that was there? And how would you have felt if you would have come home? And you can almost predict what's going to happen, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. After so many years, absolutely, what's going to happen.
Unless they're growing, right? Hopefully that we can be an example and then say, hey, what are you doing? That really happened. I'll have to share an experience really quick that happened when we went to Purdue for my graduation recently. My sister and my stepmom came with me. And, the weekend before I was at Dr. Joe's follow-up event here, and he taught an amazing breath. And so I did the breaths with them, and we did a couple meditations, and I am telling you, it created an amazing experience with my stepmom and my sister that I don't think we would have had we had not been in that energy and just given them the gift of silencing things within themselves and my stepmom. And man, it was such a gift.
Yeah.
And so that is always an opportunity that if our family's open to it, share it with them. But that's a choice.
Yep.
Oh, we were discussing this before we hit the record button, but in business, because I own my own business, when I get excited about something, I don't go tell family at all because they don't have, first of all, they're not really understanding the whole context behind it because they've not been involved in my business, but they don't have the level of excitement that I have. And they're also old school. So they're like, why don't you go back and get an 8 to 5, go get a real job, kind of, that type of scenario. And so I have learned to not go to them with those things because it can be hurtful if you allow it to be, but it can be hurtful if you go in there and then all of a sudden they're poo-pooing everything that you brought up. You're like, gosh, dang it. So that's why you have to surround yourself in all areas of life, but you have to surround yourself with a support group that are always rooting for you and are like excited for you because you can't always get that from your family. And so you have to have it.
So true. And I think all three of us are so blessed in having that community that we have people that support us and cheer us on. And we're also doing the same for them, right? We're all growing in our business and watching each other grow and step out of our comfort zone and take scary action and it's supported. And so it's so different than what I was used to before. And I'm so grateful for that. And I know all three of us have that community.
Well, yeah. And I mean, you were there for me, Terry Monday, when I walked on stage. Okay. Michelle, if you were here, you would have been too, it's, you choose the people that you want to have that experience with, ones that are going to root you on and that get it and see the work that you're doing. And that's where you can, make that kind of family of your own for things like that.
Absolutely. So I think let's give some tips on how people can prepare. So obviously, based on history, they know they've been to these family functions enough to know what potentially could happen because they've seen it before. So what are our tips on how they can prepare?
Well, definitely have an exit strategy, even if it's to the bathroom.
You can do lots of breathing in the bathroom.
Exactly. And having I literally have right now I have a breath that I do, and it takes 7 minutes. Mm-hmm. And just literally calming yourself down, but also grounding your feet on the floor, feeling your environment and knowing that, okay, I'm not in the past. Right. I am safe. What is happening in me right now? And gosh, one of the greatest things you can do too is just get to the sink, put some cold water in your hand and splash your face. That will bring you back into reality and it'll change your state.
Yeah.
So I think, what'd you say, Terry?
Go for a quick walk outside and just say, hey, I need a few minutes.
And I mean, okay to say, go ahead, Kimberly.
I was just going to say, which person's going to drink too much, you know what I mean? You know that already. So you may have to prepare for each individual, thing that may come up that may trigger you.
And it may be that you're just there for like, a couple of hours. You just go for dinner and then you leave and you go do what you need to do for you. So it's like, don't feel guilty in doing that. And, even if your family responds in a negative way, you have to just not take in their stuff.
Right.
It's not you. It is not you. It's them. They're the ones that are feeling it. They're the ones that are responsible for that feeling. They're the ones that are accountable to that. They may not know it, but you don't have to take on all of that negative energy and all of that stuff that they bring to the table. You have to start focusing on what is important for you and not feeling guilty in that. And hopefully, like Terry said, over time, you're becoming an example. And maybe even the younger generations that are seeing you're modeling this behavior that's about taking care of yourself. And hopefully that will be something they can take account.
And in most cases, it will. People, it is that energy is magnetizing,
contagious.
And people want it. Like when they feel your peace and your joy, and it is so powerful. Just like when somebody is super negative Nelly, like at work, and you almost feel their energy sucking you in. So is the good energy. Yeah. So you know what? People want that, and when you're able to show that it's possible for them, you give them permission to do the same. But it is not in your timing, and it's not up to you, and you don't
Definitely have to, not in your timing.
Yeah, and you don't have to own it if they don't want it either.
Right.
Yeah. So just letting that go.
Do you guys have a memory of like one of your best holidays ever?
I think all of my holidays were great. I love all my holidays because I love being with family. And my dad was a huge family man, but there was always chaos. So I will say that. So I think I loved it because I didn't know anything different. And I was so addicted to the chaos that I can't say I love being with family, but there was always some type of maybe disagreement or something that was not comfortable. And I have to be honest, I was the one who fueled a lot of that sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes it was like, oh my God, Terry's going to be here. What is going to set her off? You know what I mean? Because I was super passive aggressive and just had to just say the sarcastic comment to someone. But that was, I know that was coming from a place of fear, and a place of pain that I had never dealt with. And so it is so important that you deal with that. And so when Michelle was just saying, when things come up, also, it's not about them, but what is this telling me about me? Right. That is so important. Like what is their action? Why is it causing this energy in me? And what is it telling me that I need to work on?
Yes.
Yeah, for me, it was definitely when the kids were younger, just, Christmas, watching them open the gifts and in the grandkids. But, before, earlier when they were younger and stuff, oftentimes I would drink too much on the holidays.
Yeah.
And some of them I don't remember. I mean, I'm being totally honest, and it was my way of dealing with the chaos and with the feelings and with the judgment.
Well, because sometimes it's a numbing, right? It helps us numb. We don't have to feel it.
Yep.
So I'm just gonna drink. And that's so many people cope that way.
Yep.
No more though. 3 years in January.
Yes.
So it's
and I just want to say there's no shame in that. It's when you start to realize that I don't just drink to do this to myself. I'm drinking because I'm silent.
Hurting. Yeah.
I'm hurting. Exactly.
Yep.
100%. I miss the Christmases with my mother. Because we used to have to go between Dad's house and Mom's house. I'm talking about even like 6 years ago. She died in 2019. So even it's 2017. I'm not talking about when I was a kid, although those were, I'm talking about when older, when my son was old enough and we go. And my mom and I, even if Antonio was with his dad, it was I never felt more comfortable anywhere than at my mom's house.
Yeah.
We were like really, really close. So, it was just hang out, eat, watch movies. and just laugh and be silly. My son used to always, like, when we get laughing, we could not stop laughing about the stupidest stuff, and my son would just be like, like that kind of thing. But I had a Christmas stocking from my mom all the way up until the day she died.
We still get them.
So,
my dad does things for the grandkids, but my dad and my stepmom for the kids, we always had a stocking.
Mm-hmm.
And the only ones who got stocking were his kids.
Yeah.
So his kids always had a stocking.
I miss that part of it. I miss that.
Yeah.
That's what I miss.
My stepmom still does it. She still has a stocking for us every year.
Yeah, my grandma was definitely the matriarch of our family. So when she died, definitely things changed. That's when there just wasn't strong enough women or whatever to kind of take on that role. And I think about if she was here now, a lot of the stuff that's going on wouldn't be happening. I mean, I just know it because she wouldn't have it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's family
she'd
first.
Up at their houses in Florida, and she'd be like, "Look, this is how we're doing it now. We're not doing this."
My dad, I feel like since my dad passed in 2022, he was definitely the glue.
Yep.
Like he definitely was the reason family stuck together. We had family get-togethers, and I even admire him so much because even with his family, who it was very competitive. I'm driving this car and my car is better than that one. And I've accomplished this. So I kind of get where I get some of that from.
Yeah.
But he always made an effort to go visit, and he'd call us and say, "Hey, your Aunt Sally or somebody would always call me to tell me to be involved, or they're coming into town this week, come over and visit them," or, so he was, I miss that because we don't have that right now.
Right.
He definitely was the glue. I feel that.
Yeah. Definitely things fell apart after my grandma died.
Yeah.
Just everybody kind of went their separate ways in a way.
Yeah. And that's a loss. So when we're talking about grief and loss, it's not always when people just pass away. It's also people that are living and that you're not doing life with that you once used to. It is the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it feels the same way.
Yep.
Absolutely. Well, I'm just I'm gonna try to go to the Caribbean during the holidays. That's what I'm gonna do. Probably not this holiday, but maybe next year.
Yeah.
So, but, I just feel like with my dad, it's his 80th. You never know how much longer people will be around.
Absolutely.
And so I really want to spend time with him, and I just, and he's actually pretty fun to be around. When he's in a good mood, it's actually really enjoyable.
Well, Michelle, and your growth and your perspective on the relationship with your dad has shifted so much.
It has.
And so you're at a place that you're more grounded, and you're not taking any of those messages personal anymore.
No.
And so you can actually be present with your dad. And so that's really awesome. That's a huge testament that's a huge testament to Michelle's growth, everyone.
Yeah.
Because this
used to really bother me.
This was a place where she was very tearful.
Oh yeah.
Really questioned her worth and felt very attacked. And I feel so much strength within you when it comes to you talking about your dad and showing up more powerfully for you. And I know that talks to your family, even if they say it or not.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And that's what I'll leave it with today, because the thing I said, again, this is how you know your perspective versus somebody else's. And we take all of this hurt inside and we assume that they're doing it intentionally to us, that they're thinking about it. And most of the time, they're not even really thinking about it.
They're not thinking about you.
The thing what I said when that conversation that really started changing my perspective of my dad was when I was upset with him. And I said, I want you to, because he said, what do you want from me? And I said, I want you to hurt as much as I do. And he said, how do you know I don't?
Right.
Yeah.
And that is what always stays in my mind when I start getting in my head about, oh, he's trying to hurt me, he's trying to be mean to me. That is something I am thinking and I am feeling. He's not thinking that at all. In fact, he's thinking everything is great. He's not even thinking it. So it's like, that is the perspective I always try to come back to when I start to have that little girl inside of me starts to feel hurt again. That's what I come back to, because I know that I'm creating it for myself.
Well, and that little girl and all of the little girls and all of us and anybody watching, the only person that needs to love her is you.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you can show her that you're going to love her in the best way. So I have to tell you about this. I had this session with a friend, and we were doing some inner child work, and I literally felt my little girl come on my shoulder, and she was like, peekaboo, like looking at me. And I just thought, oh my gosh, I felt her like right there. And just like, she was almost just like scared and just trying to come out. And she was just kind of holding on to me when I was embracing her and loving her. And she was kind of just peeking around to see if everything was okay. And of course it was, because I'm there with her. And all she needed was me. You know what I mean? And I just got the chills telling you guys that. It was so powerful, because I even like had to like look, because I felt her right there, like kind of just looking over me. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you know? So to me, that was just proof that she's starting to be let free.
Yep. Love that.
There's still work.
There always is.
Always a work in progress, right?
Yeah. But she's finding freedom.
So for those of you out there who are thinking about the holidays now, we hope that this conversation started you thinking about ways that you can, and maybe everything is just wonderful and beautiful in your family. We're not trying to say that every family has issues here, guys. We're just basing it up for our own experience. So
3 of us.
We love you if you have a wonderful family.
I want to be invited to the one that has no issue.
I know.
I haven't seen it yet. So prove me wrong. I want to be proved wrong.
It's the families where everybody already has a level of awareness that they understand. Yes. Like they're at a level mentally that they don't take things personal. They focus on themselves. They have awareness around things. Those are the families.
It doesn't mean that there's no problems.
True.
They're very healthy internally.
Yeah, they just deal with it in a way that's healthy. Yeah, for sure. So if you're out there thinking about that, we're hoping, like I said, this conversation will get you thinking about ways that you can take care of yourself and honor yourself and protect yourself and all those things when the holidays are coming up, because the holidays is a time where a lot of folks get depressed. Yeah. A lot of folks, I don't know what the rates are, but I feel like the statistics, but I feel like suicide is pretty high around the holidays. Yeah. So people are suffering. People are depressed. People don't know, they feel like they're not like everybody else. They're not having, you always see these images on TV about wonderfulness and families having these wonderful things. And you feel like, I'm not like that. I don't have that. And it's about what you don't have instead of focusing on what you do have and what you can be and what picking yourself back up. So I'm hoping this message helps.
Well, and I want to add something to that, Michelle, because as soon as you said that, it brought something up. So in our 12-step recovery groups that I've led, they don't have groups like on the week of Thanksgiving and on the week of Christmas, but there's always people within the community that create something, because it is so high. People are so depressed or very anxious, fearful during the holidays, and a lot of things come up for people. So one of the things I will tell you too, in preparing for that, is creating your own community and creating your own family that you can spend time with that's healthy for you. Finding a way to, don't be alone. You need community. Isolating, which a lot of people do during the holidays, is very scary, because it can take our mind into crazy places. So finding community that's healthy for you.
Or even what I've done a couple of years is adopt a family.
Yeah.
Where you contribute money in time to, a family that, you know what I mean? So at least it just makes you feel good inside, and you're able to, give gifts to kids or whatever. So just
a great strategy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or just invite yourself over to somebody else's house during the holidays.
Absolutely.
I have done. So, like a couple of Christmases ago, I went to a family over. One of my colleagues just happened. He has a lot of people over, and I went to their house for Thanksgiving, and it was wonderful. It was a beautiful house. He invited me over, and I had a really nice time. I sat mostly family. There are a few of their friends, mostly family, and I had a wonderful time.
Yeah. Well, you can volunteer. There's homeless shelters. We're serving meals. Or you can even just stay home and cook yourself a meal, man.
Yep.
Treat yourself like the queen that you are.
Have the prime rib or whatever it is. You know what I mean? That you know.
A bouquet of roses.
Yeah.
Have your house cleaned.
Yep.
Just do it all for you.
Do all the things, but for you. Absolutely.
Yes. Thanks so much, everyone, for watching. Thanks for listening. We appreciate all of you that have liked and commented and subscribed and shared and all of those things. We really appreciate you. Thanks so much. And if you're a first-time listener or a viewer, we'd love it if you'd share it with somebody who could benefit from this and maybe watch some of our older episodes about that. But we're excited because this is episode number 21. We're really excited. Most podcasts don't last past 20 episodes. So we have shown you with this episode that we are above bar. Like we're on the 20%ers. We're the 20%ers here that actually make it past 20 episodes. We're excited. So thanks so much, guys. We have some good guests coming up, some exciting guests coming up. We're going to be switching it up a little bit, but we're very, very happy to have you here. And thanks so much. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Take care.